Alright, hello again. Welcome to, I believe this is part 3 of our tutorial. We last left off on our texture tools here. Um, Somebody had mentioned to me that I should cover this more in depth. Actually, one of my friends, but I should cover this entity tool more in depth in this video. I'm not gonna do that yet until we get a little bit further ahead, because the entity tool, there's just so much you can do with it. We'll come back with it because we're working towards compiling our first small map. Alright, so next is our decals tool. It's this little square right here with the bullseye on it. Now, I want you to type in decals to your texture tools. Go to your textures, obviously. Go to your filter, type in decals. And these are all decals. Basically, a decal tool works by taking a specific texture and pasting it into your environment. So there's your blood right there. Alright, now I want insect blood, or this is actually the only reflective blood texture that I've ever found in Hammer that reflects or uses cube maps. Kind of strange. I can even do this stuff. Alright, now if that was a wall, going into water, that would look fairly convincing. It's really cool how they can make these textures, look 3D or look, real, even though they're just little 2D decals being slapped on there. They actually look quite convincing. It's really impressive how they managed to do that. You also have all the graffiti. Graffiti, by the way, can brighten up any old, crappy looking map. If it's supposed to look old and crappy, graffiti really helps it bring it alive. These right here are actually numbers. Each individual one is actually a number, and those can be useful if you want to use decals for whatever reason. You can even put your Combine posters or propaganda posters up there. Different signs. You can even use this to go as far as to just place leaves on the ground. You can put a whole bunch of stuff down with this. Garbage, piles of garbage. This is what you use to create the imperfect world of your map. If I want to make a hole, boom, I can make a cracked tile or an explosive hole. A pile of debris. So there's tons of cool textures and for decals that you can use. There's even like vines for a wall. You want to put vines on your wall to make it look older. There's just a lot of cool stuff you can do. So that's basically your decals. That's what you can use right there. You can put anything into your level, signs, all that stuff. There are some signs that won't work as decals. You have to use them as overlays. So I'm going to show you overlays right now. This is the overlay tool directly beneath your decals tool with the little green square on top of the regular brick square. That's your overlay. Now, you'll notice that overlays seem to work in a very similar fashion to decals when used with a decal texture, and that's true. They do. They work in a very similar fashion. They have the very more or less the same concept of pasting something over something. This is actually a decal, kind of a cool decal. If you position it just right, you actually get the illusion that one of these tiles is a floor hatch. Anyways, to actually see the true overlays that Valve wanted you to see, just type in overlay. Alright, so here are overlays. You can put a toxic overlay. That's how that works in game. You can actually put a rug down or a pile of rocks there for an overlay. There's a couple different overlays, several different actually. And there's some screen overlays as well that will show up a bit funky, but what that's for is when you create a funk monitor and you want to put an overlay over that monitor to make it look as though it's actually like a computer, or has a cool screen effect over it. That's one of those effects right there. Another one would be something like that. Put that to make it look more like computer-ish. So if you're gonna have that right there for an overlay, it just kind of adds to it. It makes it look a lot nicer. Alright, so that's basically our overlays. That's pretty much all we've got for overlays. Now we're going to move on to your clipping tool. We want to clip something. Now for clipping is actually a very useful tool, and I'll go in depth with all of these tools later. I know this is more like a crash course slash summary of these tools here, so we're going to get more in depth with them, don't worry. Here you go with this. Now once I've selected this, I'm going to click on my clipping tool. Let's say we don't like this corner here. I want to get rid of that corner, so I'm going to click and drag this like that. Now you'll notice that the red section here, if I hit enter, the wrong section goes away. I wanted to kill that corner. So how do I fix that? Well, to get around this, you just hit the clipping tool button again, and you'll notice the side changes. If you hit it a third time, now what happens when I hit enter is this will actually divide these up into two separate entities. When I go back to my selection tool, this is a separate piece. See? Now, let's do that one more time. And I'll show you how it's supposed to work. This is what I wanted to do right there. So you can use that to cut sections of your blocks off. Now, actually, I'm going to redo that. Now I'm going to show you what the vertex tool here can be used to do. Vertex manipulation tool. Now once I click on that, I click on this object. You'll notice that now I can manipulate the vertices of this object. So here we go down. We're going to click, if I click anywhere on one of these 2D views, it'll automatically click the to 2 points in line with each other. So if I click on this one, you'll notice that both of these highlight. It's easier than me having to click on each individual one while holding control. So sometimes if you're doing this, it's just easier to click on the top view. Now once you have that, we're just going to click on it, pull it, and drag it. Once it's right there. Now this is a little bit different because you won't hit enter to bring it into effect. All you're going to do is just go back to any other tool and it will automatically take effect. Also, if you try and hit Control Z, you get this message: you must exit morph mode before you can undo. So just go up, select your selection tool. Now, bang, that's back to where it should be. Now you'll also notice that this has been divided into two faces now. This is one of the unfortunate side effects that we have. This is now two faces. Nothing I can do about that, unfortunately, but that's just how it is. So I'm just going to undo all of that back to this. Now, what we're going to do here, that we've covered all of these tools, I'm just going to cut this video for the hell of it, and we'll come back and we'll browse a lot of our utilities up here. Remember, I don't know what some of these actually do. I believe these have to do with window alignment. I can't remember what the DWDR stuff does. Whereas like the CM and this, and I can't remember what all of that does, but I'll try to cover basically everything that you will be needing to know right off the bat. So, alright guys, take it easy.